Before we begin, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. This one's about two dogs who simply refuse to be separated, and how one small choice changed everything. At the Rocket House Dog Sanctuary in Southern California, volunteers learn fast that every animal carries a past. They also learn that hope, stubborn and quiet, often arrives in pairs. This is the story of Meryl, a 3-year-old pit bull, and Taco, a tiny senior chihuahua. They came in together, they slept together, and they refused, with a loyalty that surprised everyone, to be parted. When Meryl and Taco first stepped into the shelter's yard, they seemed an unlikely pair. One nearly full-grown, broad-shouldered and watchful, the other small enough to curl into a jacket pocket. People glanced and made quick judgments. Pit bulls, some volunteers would whisper, too big for apartment life. Others cooed at Taco and imagined him on a sunny windowsill. But the volunteers saw more. The way Taco draped himself over Meryl's side like a tiny shorebird on a larger one. The way she shifted to make room. The sanctuary staff tried to tell the world what their eyes already knew. These two were bonded. But reality outside the kennel gate is rarely gentle. Prospective adopters often come with one checklist item: small dog or family-friendly big dog, and rarely both. Meryl and Taco's first weeks were a string of near misses. One sunny afternoon, a man in a San Diego Padres cap walked up the aisle. He smiled at Meryl, signed the papers for an adoption, and the volunteers breathed a quiet, hopeful sigh. Papers were filled, the meet and greet was set. It felt like a match. He liked pit bulls, he said. Honest dogs, solid and reliable. Everything seemed ready. Then the gate closed. As Meryl was let out, she hit the floor, planted all 4 paws and howled, long and raw and impossible to ignore. Taco watched from his small kennel, his head tilted, eyes growing wet. When the volunteer reached to pull the gate shut, Meryl refused to budge. She pawed, looked back at Taco, and then at the waiting man, as if to ask him a single question: "Will you take him too?" The man adjusted his cap, smiled politely, and said he couldn't. He left with another dog. The volunteers closed the gate and sighed. It was not the first time hope had walked away. Back at the sanctuary, the near adoptions stacked up. A woman who loved Meryl but didn't want a tiny dog. An elderly couple who adored Taco but couldn't house a big dog. Every time, Meryl refused to leave without Taco. Every time, Taco looked for her. Each refused adoption cost both of them another chance at the life they deserved. Volunteers Kim and Jody felt the ache in their chests. They had watched the pair sleep, curled like yin and yang, heard Taco's tiny snore against Meryl's flank, and they decided to try something different. Jody offered to foster them both in her home. A temporary step, she explained, to help them heal, learn house rules, and show potential adopters they were not a liability, but a package of love. Foster life brought soft evenings and slow mornings. Taco discovered that slings could be warm, and Meryl learned that gentle hands could be trusts to keep. Then, during a routine checkup at the vet, a complication appeared. Tests suggested Meryl had been used for breeding by her previous owner. Her vet recommended a spay and, more importantly, a period of careful recovery. The plan was simple: surgery, recovery in a quiet enclosure, then home. But the heart of this story is not plans, it's the refusal to abide by them. When Meryl woke from surgery, she was groggy and searching. Taco paced and whined from the safety of the clinic hallway. Staff, worried that Taco's presence would disrupt Meryl's healing, planned to keep them apart for a few days. What they hadn't counted on was the sheer force of the attachment between the two. Meryl hunted the outlines of his small body with her eyes, and Taco, tiny and resolute, let out the most determined series of yaps until the staff relented and brought him in. The moment Taco was beside her recovery bed, Meryl's shoulders relaxed for the first time in hours. She was able to sleep. She could heal. When they came home to Jody's couch days later, the pair walked quietly together, one paw at a time. The shelter's photos of them returned online, not as separate animals, but as a single listing: Meryl and Taco, adopt as a pair. Kim rewrote the adoption notice with one line front and center: they come together. They love to nap cuddled up and share one heart. The photo was unmistakable: Meryl's broad chest wrapped protectively around Taco's tiny frame. The internet answered. The post went viral among animal lovers. People shared and commented with the kind of tenderness that makes shelters feel less alone. Within days, the sanctuary was flooded with adoption inquiries, and finally, a family came forward who ticked every box: a stable home, patient children, a backyard where Meryl could roam, and the willingness to carry Taco in a sling on longer walks. The meet and greet was perfect. The kids laughed when Taco slid into their palms, and Meryl sat like a gentle statue while one of the boys carefully stroked her head. Paperwork was signed. The day of adoption, volunteers cried. The joy was big and quiet. It landed like sunlight. Meryl and Taco settled in quickly. Meryl loved being included on family hikes. Taco found the coziest laps and developed a taste for small, buttery treats. Life calmed, and everyone breathed easier. But life seldom travels a single straight line. Months later, Taco began to struggle for breath. His family assumed aging lungs. A specialist's tests, however, delivered a harsher truth: heart failure. The diagnosis hit like a storm. The family gathered, volunteers held their breath, and the community that had watched the pair's story rallied. Surgery was recommended. Medication would follow. The costs were high, and the worry was higher. But the family refused to give up on Taco. Meryl refused in another way, staying close, watching the vet team as if overseeing every step. She lay beside his recovery crate and refused to leave his side, even when the nurses gently led her away for a walk. Taco's surgery went well. The days that followed involved medication, careful feeds, and a routine that the family took on like a vow. His breathing steadied. The fluid that had once made each step heavy began to recede. Taco, energized by love and the right care, fought back with the stubborn energy that had kept him beside Meryl at the shelter. News of the recovery spread. The family quietly made a Facebook page to share updates, mostly for the volunteers and the strangers who had rooted for the pair. The page swelled to tens of thousands of followers. Messages poured in, stories of other inseparable pets, of adopted siblings, of small mercies offered by big hearts. Each comment felt like another stitch mending the world a bit. Years later, Meryl grew into her strength, and Taco remained the small, fierce heart he'd always been. They became a family's heartbeat, a living proof that compassion can also be stubborn, that choices made with love change outcomes for the better. Through recovery and routine, the pair taught everyone who met them a simple lesson: attachments matter. Bonds are not conveniences to be judged only by size or breed. They are lives intertwined. If you have pets who are inseparable, tell us about them in the comments. And if Meryl and Taco's story moved you, like and subscribe. We've got more stories about the quiet bravery of animals and the people who refuse to walk away. Thanks for watching.